My parents ignored my urgent calls from the hospital because my sister was freaking out over paint colors. So I had my lawyer come to the ICU. When they finally arrived, they realized the true price of their neglect. I collapsed. Right there, in the middle of the most important presentation of my life, my heart literally gave out. And when I woke up, alone and terrified, I discovered the people who should have been there for me chose paint swatches instead. The conference room lights flickered, blurring my vision. My grip tightened on the podium, but it wasn't enough. 40 pairs of eyes stared, and I knew something was terribly wrong. And as you can see from the Q3 projections, my voice wavered. The slides became a meaningless swirl of color. My heart wasn't just racing. It felt like it was trying to punch its way out of my chest. My name's Sophia, and that day, I was dying. "Miss Wells, are you all right?" someone asked from the back. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. The room spun. The ceiling panels started rotating above me as I crumpled to the floor. Voices erupted. "Call 911. Is she breathing? Clear the room." My assistant, Sarah, appeared above me, her mascara already running. "Sophia, stay with us. The ambulance is coming." I tried to reach for my phone, my arms heavy as lead. Call my parents," I managed to whisper before everything went dark. The next thing I remember was the cold. So much cold. Doctors spoke in urgent, hushed tones, words like cardiac arrhythmia and immediate surgery filtering through the fog. "Please," I begged the nurse, prepping my phone. "I need to call my family." She hesitated, then handed it over. With trembling fingers, I dialed my mother's number, straight to voicemail. My father? Same thing. My texts grew more desperate. "Mom, I'm in the hospital." "Dad, please answer. They're taking me to surgery." "I'm scared." The nurse gave me a sympathetic look as she gently took my phone away. "We need to go now, honey. I'm sure they'll be here when you wake up." They weren't. I woke up in the ICU hours later, groggy and utterly alone. The rhythmic beeping of monitors was the only soundtrack to my isolation. Sarah had left a note, promising to be back, but hospital policy only allowed immediate family after hours. Immediate family. What a joke. Around 3 a.m., a night nurse came to check my vitals. She had kind eyes, a gentle touch as she adjusted my four. "Your mother left a voicemail earlier," she said, reaching for my phone. "Would you like to hear it?" I nodded, a flicker of hope so faint in my chest. Then her voice. "Hi, sweetie. We got your messages, but we can't come right now. Hazel is having an absolute crisis over the color they painted her new apartment. She's inconsolable. You know how she gets. We'll try to stop by tomorrow if she's feeling better. Love you." The nurse's face said it all. I turned away, hot tears streaming down my cheeks. "Would you like me to call someone else for you?" she asked softly. A memory flashed through my mind. Last Christmas, I'd written a check for $50,000 to cover Hazel's credit card debt. My mom had barely looked up from helping Hazel arrange her new designer handbag collection. "Thanks, Sophie. You're such a good sister. Good sister. Good daughter. Good ATM." I wiped my eyes and looked at the nurse. "Actually, yes. Could you hand me my phone? I need to call my lawyer." She passed it to me, concern etched on her face. My hands were steady now as I scrolled through my contacts and pressed call. "Derek, it's Sophia. I know it's late, but I need you. Bring the papers. All of them." "Yes, I'm sure. I'm in the ICU at Mount Sinai." I paused, listening to his response. "No, my family isn't here. That's exactly why I'm calling." After hanging up, I stared at the ceiling, my heart monitor beeping in rhythm with my new resolve. I'd almost died today, and my sister's paint color crisis had taken precedence. 20 years of similar moments crashed over me like a tidal wave. Hazel's tantrums at my college graduation, my parents missing my company's launch party because Hazel had a bad date, the countless times I cleaned up her messes while my own achievements collected dust. My phone buzzed. An Instagram notification. Hazel had just posted a selfie with our parents, all three huddled around paint swatches. The caption read, "Worst day ever. Thank God for family support. #blessed #family #crisis." I clicked off my phone and closed my eyes, feeling something hard and cold crystallize in my chest. It wasn't my heart this time. It was determination. Tomorrow, Derek would help me start dismantling everything I'd built for them. And for the first time in my life, I wouldn't feel guilty about it. Derek arrived at 9 a.m. sharp, his leather briefcase bulging. He took one look at me, hooked up to monitors and still pale from surgery, and his professional demeanor cracked. Jesus, Sophia, you look like hell. Thanks, I managed a weak smile. Always knew I could count on you for honesty. Did you bring everything? He pulled up a chair and started laying out papers on my bedside table. Everything you asked for. But are you sure about this? It's aggressive. My heart literally stopped yesterday, and my family was too busy picking paint swatches to care, I said, a bitter edge to my voice. I'd say aggressive is exactly what this situation calls for. Derek nodded, his jaw tightening. We'd been friends since college. He'd witnessed plenty of my family's behavior over the years. All right, let's start with the will changes. For the next hour, we methodically worked through the documents. My signature grew steadier with each page, like my hand knew this was right, even if my heart still ached. So that's your parents removed as beneficiaries, Derek said, shuffling papers. Next is revoking their access to your accounts, the ones you've been using to support Hazel's lifestyle. A memory surfaced. Last summer, standing in my parents' kitchen, holding Hazel's latest credit card statement. It's only $70,000 this time, Mom had said, not looking up from her magazine. You know how hard things have been for her since that breakup. Do it, I told Derek. All of it. He pulled out another stack of papers. And the vacation house? List it today, if possible. Your parents spend every summer there. Not anymore. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Hazel picked the perfect shade of sage. Crisis averted. How are you feeling, sweetie? I showed it to Derek, who let out a low whistle. That's something else. Watch this, I said, opening the family group chat. My fingers flew across the keyboard. Still in ICU after emergency heart surgery. Thanks for asking. Glad Hazel's walls are sage instead of seafoam. Definitely worth missing your daughter's near-death experience for. Derek raised an eyebrow. Poking the bear? More like waking it up, I said, a cold satisfaction in my voice. They've been hibernating in their bubble of denial for too long. My phone immediately erupted with notifications. Mom, don't be dramatic, Sophie. The doctor said you're stable. Dad, we'll visit soon, princess. Hazel, OMG, why are you trying to make my apartment crisis about you? I turned my phone face down. Keep going with the papers, Derek. By noon, we had drafted everything needed to legally separate my finances from my family's parasitic attachment. Derek was packing up when my friend Camila burst in, carrying real coffee and looking murderous. I just saw Hazel's Instagram story, she announced, handing me the coffee. She's doing a full home renovation reveal, tagged with #blessed, #new beginnings, #family support. Not a single mention that her sister almost died yesterday. Of course not, I said, taking a sip. That would require acknowledging someone else's existence. I've got the papers ready to file, Derek said, standing. But I'll hold them until tomorrow. Give you time to think it through. I shook my head. File them now. I've had 38 years to think it through. After they left, I scrolled through my phone. Hazel had posted again, a boomerang of her twirling in her newly painted living room. Mom and Dad were in the background, applauding. The caption read, "Sometimes it takes a village." So grateful for parents who drop everything to help in a crisis. #blessed, #paint day, #family first. My fingers hovered over the comment button. Instead, I opened my email and composed a message to my entire contact list. Dear friends and colleagues, I'm currently in the ICU at Mount Sinai following emergency heart surgery. While I'm stable now, it was a close call. I'm sharing this not for sympathy, but for transparency about why I'll be out of office for a while. I'm also sharing because yesterday I learned something valuable about family. Sometimes the ones who should be there aren't. And sometimes, that's the wake-up call you need. Best, Sophia, I hit send, then turned off my phone. Let them deal with the fallout of their choices being made public. I was done covering for them. A nurse came in to check my vitals. Glancing at the papers Derek had left behind, she asked, "Big decisions today?" "Life-changing ones." "Your heart rate's much stronger," she noted, checking the monitor. I looked out the window at the Manhattan skyline, feeling lighter than I had in years. "Yeah," I said. I think it finally remembered how to beat for itself instead of everyone else. She patted my hand and left. In the quiet of my hospital room, I could have sworn I heard the sound of bridges burning. And it sounded like freedom. 3 days after my surgery, my parents finally graced me with their presence. Mom swept in, wearing her signature Hermes scarf, carrying a bouquet that probably cost more than my hospital bill. Dad trailed behind, looking uncomfortable in the sterile environment. "Oh, darling," Mom exclaimed, as if we were meeting for lunch rather than visiting her daughter post-cardiac event. "These fluorescent lights are absolutely brutal on your complexion." "Nearly dying tends to do that," I replied flatly. Dad cleared his throat. "Now, princess, no need for that tone. We're here now." 3 days later, I pointed out. Mom arranged the flowers, filling the silence with chatter. Hazel wanted to come, but she's still dealing with the contractor. Such a nightmare. They completely botched the crown molding. She's been crying all morning. I pressed the morphine button on my not for pain, but for patience. "Where is Hazel anyway?" Dad asked, looking around as if she might materialize from behind the curtain. "Probably posting about her crown molding crisis on Instagram," I said. "Did you know her story about paint swatches got more attention than my emergency surgery announcement?" Mom's hands stilled on the flowers. "Sophia, please. You know how sensitive she is. She's been absolutely beside herself about your situation." "My situation?" I repeated. "You mean my heart stopping?" A knock at the door saved them from responding. Derek entered, impeccable in his suit, carrying a leather portfolio. My mother's face lit up. She'd always hoped we'd date. "Derek, how lovely to see you. Are you here to check on our girl?" "Actually," he said, walking to my bedside, "I'm here in my professional capacity." He handed me a folder. I opened it slowly, savoring the moment. "Mom, Dad, you remember Derek's my lawyer, right?" The color drained from my mother's face. Dad's forced smile flickered. "These are copies of documents I filed yesterday," I continued, my voice steady. "I've removed you both from my will, revoked your access to all my accounts, and listed the vacation house in Florida for sale." The house," Dad stammered. "But where will we go in the summer?" "Not my concern." Mom's perfectly manicured hand flew to her throat. "Sophia, you can't be serious. We're family." "Family?" I laughed, and the heart monitor betrayed my spike in anger. "Let me tell you about family. Last month, I paid off Hazel's $70,000 credit card debt. The month before that, I covered her rent when she forgot to pay it for 3 months. Last year, I funded her failed jewelry business. Want to know what I got in return when my heart stopped and I needed you most? You chose paint swatches over your dying daughter. That's not fair." Dad protested weakly. "No," I said, leaning forward. "What's not fair is that I've spent my entire adult life being your backup plan, your safety net, your human ATM. Well, guess what? The Bank of Sophia is officially closed." Derek handed them each a stack of papers. "These detail the changes. I'd suggest reading them carefully." Mom's hands shook as she flipped through the documents. This is ridiculous. You won't go through with this. Family sticks together, Sophia. You know that." I looked her directly in the eyes. "If that's true, how come I almost died alone?" The silence that followed was deafening. "The house is already listed," Derek added quietly. "We expect it to sell quickly in this market." Dad sank into a chair, papers crumpling in his grip. "Princess, please, let's talk about this rationally." I had plenty of time to think rationally while lying here alone for 3 days, I said. "Did you know the nurses took turns sitting with me after surgery because they felt bad that I had no family here?" Strangers showed more concern than my own parents. Mom's mascara was starting to run. "You're being dramatic. We came as soon as we could." After Hazel's paint crisis was resolved, I corrected. "Check your priorities, Mom. Better yet, check your phone. I'm sure Hazel's having another meltdown about crown molding right now." As if on cue, Mom's phone buzzed. She glanced at it instinctively. "Go ahead," I said. "Answer it. We both know you will." She stood, smoothing her skirt with trembling hands. "This isn't over, Sophia. You're upset. You're not thinking clearly. We'll discuss this when you're feeling better." "Actually, we won't." I pressed the call button for the nurse. "I'm ready for my rest now." As security escorted them out, a precaution Derek had arranged, I heard Mom's voice crack. "She can't do this. She's our daughter." "No," I whispered to the empty room. "I'm just the backup daughter you never wanted but always needed. And I quit." The monitor showed my heart rate returning to normal, steady and strong. Like it knew this was just the beginning. My phone rang at 3 a.m. Hazel's name flashed across the screen, and I answered out of morbid curiosity. How dare you? Her voice crackled with rage. How dare you do this to Mom and Dad? Good morning to you too, Hazel. How's the crown molding crisis? Don't you dare be sarcastic with me. They're devastated. Mom hasn't stopped crying and Dad had to take a Xanax. I adjusted my hospital bed to sit up straighter. Interesting how they can have such strong reactions to consequences, but couldn't muster any concern when I was literally dying. Oh my God, you're not dying. Stop being so dramatic. My heart stopped, Hazel. Actually stopped. But please, tell me more about your paint. Emergency. She made a sound between a scream and a sob. You need to fix this. Call Derek right now and undo everything. Or what? Or I'll never speak to you again. I laughed. Genuinely laughed for the first time in days. Is that supposed to be a threat? The line went quiet for a moment. When Hazel spoke again, her voice had that familiar, manipulative tremor, the one that usually preceded getting her way. Remember when we were kids and you promised to always take care of me? A memory flashed. I was 12, Hazel 6. She destroyed my science fair project the night before presentation, dumping glue all over weeks of work. Mom had blamed me for not sharing my supplies. Actually, I do remember, I said. I remember a lot of things, Hazel. Like how I sold Grandma's ring, my only inheritance, to bail you out of debt 3 years ago. Remember what you said then? Thanks, sis. You're the best. Right before you went on a shopping spree with Mom. That's different. I needed you. You always need. And I'm always expected to provide. Well, guess what? I'm done. Mom wants to meet, she said, changing tactics. One last family meeting to talk things through. I considered this. Fine. Tomorrow at noon. The hospital cafeteria, but my contractor. Noon. Take it or leave it. She agreed. But I wasn't done. And Hazel? I'm bringing Camila. Your annoying friend. Why? Because I'm done being outnumbered. The next day, Mom and Dad arrived first, looking like they hadn't slept. Hazel swept in 10 minutes late, wearing oversized sunglasses and clutching an iced latte like it was life support. Camila sat beside me, radiating protective energy. She'd known my family dynamics for years and had always been my voice of reason. Sophia, Mom began, reaching across the table. Let's talk about this rationally. Rational. Camila interjected. Like ignoring your daughter's emergency surgery? This is a family matter. Hazel snapped. Funny, I said. I was family when you needed your credit cards paid off. Dad raised his hands placatingly. Princess, we understand you're hurt, but this revenge, it's beneath you. Revenge. I leaned forward. This isn't revenge, Dad. This is boundaries. This is me finally saying no. You're being selfish. Hazel slammed her latte down. Do you know what this is doing to me? My anxiety is through the roof. My followers can tell something's wrong. Camila snorted. Your sister almost died, and you're worried about your Instagram aesthetic? Stay out of this. Hazel whirled on Camila. This is your fault. You've always tried to turn her against us. No, I cut in. You did that all by yourselves. Mom started crying, her practice tears right on schedule. We can fix this, sweetie. Just call Derek. Stop. My voice was steel. The house is already in escrow. The accounts are closed. It's done. Hazel stood up so fast her chair toppled backward. You ungrateful. She grabbed her latte and threw it at Camila, who barely dodged the cup. The cafeteria went silent. Security approached quickly. And that, I said quietly, as if explaining something obvious, is exactly why this is happening. As security escorted Hazel out, her screams echoing down the hallway, I turned to my parents. We're done here. Sophia, please. Mom tried one last time. No. I'm going to be discharged tomorrow. When I leave this hospital, I'm leaving this dysfunction behind too. I stood up, Camila steady beside me. Oh, and one more thing. I've instructed my lawyer to file a restraining order against Hazel. Consider this her first and last warning. Walking back to my room, Camila squeezed my hand. You okay? I nodded, feeling lighter than I had in years. You know what's funny? My heart's actually beating better now that I've stopped letting them break it. Behind us, I could hear Hazel's distant screams mixing with Mom's sobs. The sound of consequences finally catching up to them all. The Florida house sold in 3 days, well above asking price. I signed the final papers for my new apartment, where I'd been recovering for the past week. Derek sat across from me, sliding over a cashier's check for $4,200,000. What are you going to do with it first? He asked. I'm hiring an estate sale company to clear it out, I said. Everything goes, including the piano. My hands stilled over the check. The baby grand piano. My childhood sanctuary. Mom had given it to Hazel on her 16th birthday, despite knowing I was the only one who played. Especially the piano. My phone buzzed. A news alert. Local woman removed from luxury boutique after altercation with staff. The thumbnail showed Hazel being escorted out by security, mascara running down her face. Your sister's making headlines, Derek noted, peering at my screen. She always wanted to be famous. I forwarded the article to Camila, who replied instantly, Karma's working overtime. The estate sale company arrived the next day. I watched via FaceTime as they cataloged everything, marking prices on pieces of my past. The woman in charge, Marie, held up a familiar jewelry box. What about this? Inside was a space where my grandmother's ring had once lived before I'd sold it to cover Hazel's gambling debts. Sell it, I said. Everything goes. Sophia. A voice screeched from off camera. Hazel had somehow gotten past security. You can't sell Mom's anniversary china. Marie turned the camera, showing Hazel trying to grab items off a table. Should I call the police? Immediately, I watched as Hazel was removed again, this time screaming about family heirlooms and betrayal. My phone lit up with texts from Mom. How could you sell our memories? Your father is heartbroken. That piano was for Hazel. We're still your family. I blocked their numbers. Later that afternoon, Derek called. His voice was tense. We have a situation. Hazel tried to file for temporary conservatorship over you. She what? She's claiming your cardiac event affected your mental capacity. Says your erratic behavior proves you're unfit to manage your affairs. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Let me guess. She's volunteering to manage my money for me. Got it in one. Don't worry, it's ridiculous. No judge would uphold it. I interrupted, hard. Make it expensive. And Derek? Countersue for harassment. The estate sales started on Saturday. I watched the security cameras from my phone as strangers picked through my family's carefully curated image. The piano went first, to a music school. Perfect. My phone pinged with an email from an unfamiliar address. The subject line made my blood run cold. Your father's medical records. What is this? I asked Derek over speakerphone. Open it. Inside was a single line. Dad had a heart condition too. Mom never told you. Guess she loved one daughter enough to warn her. I felt my new, stronger heart skip a beat. Is this true? I had it verified, Derek said quietly. Your father has the same condition. Genetic. Hazel's been monitored for it since childhood. The room spun. They'd known. They'd known I could have inherited this. And they never told me. Protected Hazel, but not me. Never me. Derek. My voice was steady, despite the trembling in my hands. Remember when you said the conservatorship claim was ridiculous? Yes? Prove it. Release my medical records to the court. Show them I'm not only competent, I'm thriving post-surgery. Then leak the fact that they knew about this genetic condition and deliberately withheld the information. That's nuclear, Sophia. Nuclear feels appropriate. As we hung up, another notification popped up. A certified letter from Hazel's lawyer. I opened the attachment, expecting more threats. Instead, I found myself staring at a photo, me at 12, standing protectively beside 6-year-old Hazel. On the back, in my mother's handwriting, my girls, forever inseparable. Below it, Hazel had written, remember who you're supposed to be. My protector, my sister. Don't make me destroy you. I forwarded the threat to Derek, then opened my laptop. It was time to tell my story. All of it. The decades of manipulation, the financial abuse, the neglect. No names, just truth. As I typed, I remembered something my grandmother told me before she died. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop protecting people from the consequences of their own actions. My fingers flew across the keyboard, each word a brick in the wall I was building between my past and my future. Let them come. Let them threaten. I wasn't their protector anymore. I was finally my own. My blog post went live at midnight. By 6 a.m., it had over 100,000 shares. A story of family toxicity and survival, read the headline. I hadn't named names, but anyone who knew us would recognize the truth. Camila called first. Have you seen Twitter? You're trending. I refreshed my feed. Thousands of comments, most from people sharing similar stories of family dysfunction. The phrase golden child syndrome was everywhere. Your mother's country club friends are having a field day, Camila continued. Apparently, she had to leave her tennis match early because everyone was whispering. My phone buzzed. Nicholas, Hazel's on again, off again boyfriend. Your sister's losing it, he said without preamble. She's been screaming for hours, throwing things. I can't handle this anymore. Not my problem. She says you're lying about everything, that you're just jealous of her. I laughed. Ask her about Dad's heart condition. Ask her why they never told me I could die from the same thing that almost killed me last month. Silence. They knew? Since we were kids? Hazel got tested? I didn't even know it ran in the family. Jesus Christ. He exhaled heavily. I'm done. Tell Derek I'll testify about her behavior if he needs me to. By noon, the story had made local news. Prominent families' dirty laundry aired, a tale of medical neglect and financial abuse. They didn't use our names, but they didn't need to. Dad's phone call came next. Princess, please. They're asking me to step down from the country club board. Tragic, I said. Almost as tragic as not telling your daughter she had a potentially fatal heart condition. We were trying to protect you from worry. No, you were trying to protect Hazel from responsibility, as usual. Your mother's devastated. Our friends are finally seeing who you really are. Derek called with updates. Hazel's conservatorship attempt was thrown out. The judge actually laughed. But there's more. She sent a cease and desist letter claiming your blog post caused her irreparable trauma. Perfect. Counter with the medical records. Already did. Her lawyer withdrew the letter in under an hour. I was reviewing transfer paperwork for my assets when my email pinged. A message from Nicholas. Thought you should see this. She doesn't know I recorded it. The attached video showed Hazel in her apartment, raging at our parents. Fix this. Make her stop. I can't take people looking at me like this. Do something. Mom's voice. Darling, we're trying. But try harder. I'm the one who matters. I'm your real daughter. The video cut off. I forwarded it to Derek with one word, leverage. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. A photo of my grandmother's ring, the one I'd sold to help Hazel. Missing something? The text read. Who is this? I typed back. Someone who bought it from the pawn shop. Want it back? Meet me. I blocked the number and called Derek. They're getting desperate. Good, he said. Because I just filed the harassment suit. And Sophia? The ring thing? That was amateur hour. I bought your grandmother's ring back months ago. It's in my safe. Tears pricked my eyes. You did? Of course. I knew you'd want it back someday. That evening, my blog post hit national news. My inbox flooded with interview requests. Dr. Phil's producers called twice. Then came Mom's voicemail. She was crying, screaming, apologizing, all in the same breath. Please, sweetie, we can fix this. Tell everyone you were confused. Say you made it up. We're your family. I played it for Camila over wine. Wow, she said. She actually sounds sincere. She's not, I replied. Listen carefully. She's not saying she's sorry for what they did. She's sorry they got caught. My phone buzzed again. A news alert. Local socialite has public meltdown at charity gala. The photo showed Hazel being escorted out again. Your sister's really committing to this spiral, Camila observed. She's never faced consequences before. She doesn't know how. I opened my laptop and began typing again. Not another blog post. This time, it was an email to my realtor. Subject line, looking for properties in California. Running away? Camila asked, reading over my shoulder. No, I replied, thinking of the grandmother's ring waiting in Derek's safe. Running towards something better. As if on cue, Mom's number flashed on my phone. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel the urge to answer. Some bridges aren't meant to be repaired. Some fires need to burn until there's nothing left but truth in the ashes. The family home looked smaller than I remembered. I stood in the driveway, keys in hand, staring at the colonial facade that had housed so many carefully curated lies. Want me to go in first? Camila asked from beside me. No, I need to do this. I'd come to collect the last of my belongings before the move to California. Derek had arranged for a police presence, just in case, but the cruiser parked discreetly down the street still felt surreal. The front door opened before I could use my key. Mom stood there, looking oddly diminished without her usual perfect makeup. You brought security? Her voice cracked. I brought witnesses, I corrected, nodding toward Camila and the police officer now walking up the drive. Dad appeared behind her. Princess, this is unnecessary. After Hazel's latest stunt, I'd say it's very necessary. They stepped aside, letting us enter. The house smelled of desperation and Chanel No. 5, Mom's stress cleaning signature. I'm here for my things, I said, heading toward the stairs. Just my childhood photos and some documents. Wait, Mom called out. There's something you need to know first. I turned, watching her twist her wedding ring, her tell for incoming manipulation. You should sit down for this. I'll stand. She exchanged looks with Dad, who nodded slightly. It's about your adoption. The word hung in the air like smoke. Camila grabbed my arm, steadying me. My what? You're not. Mom's voice wavered. You're technically your Aunt Sarah's daughter. When she died, we took you in. You were only 2. We never told you because we wanted you to feel like real family. The room tilted. Aunt Sarah? Mom's sister who died in a car accident? My mother? My actual mother? Dad stepped forward. We loved you like our own. Stop. My voice was ice. You loved me like your own? You let me believe I was your biological child while withholding life-saving medical information because it wasn't actually genetic for me? You prioritized your biological daughter while I paid her bills, cleaned her messes, and nearly died alone. We didn't want you to feel different. Mom protested. Different. I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. You mean like how you treated me differently my entire life? Heavy footsteps on the stairs announced Hazel's arrival. Oh, good. She finally knows she's not really my sister. I'm not, I turned to her. Then I guess I'm not really responsible for you anymore. All those years of guilt, of obligation. They never belonged to me, did they? You ungrateful, Hazel started, but Mom cut her off. We gave you everything. Mom cried. A home, an education, opportunities. No, I interrupted. I earned those things. Every single one of them. While you were busy coddling your real daughter. I walked to the stairs, pushing past Hazel. In my old room, I found the box I'd come for. Photos, documents, memories. At the bottom, wrapped in tissue paper, was a small frame. Inside was the last photo taken of Aunt Sarah, my real mother, holding me as a baby. Downstairs, chaos erupted. Hazel was screaming about inheritance rights. Mom was sobbing about family loyalty. Dad was trying to talk over everyone about reasonable discussions. I descended the stairs with my box, the police officer moving closer. That's my baby photo album. Hazel shrieked, lunging for my box. The officer stepped between us. Actually, I said calmly, these are Aunt Sarah's photos. My mother's photos. I'm taking what's mine and leaving what never was. You can't just walk away from this family. Mom grabbed my arm. I shook her off. I'm not walking away from my family. I'm walking away from people who kept me around as a convenient backup plan. There's a difference. We'll sue. Hazel screamed. We'll take everything. Go ahead. I reached the door. But remember, I have proof of financial fraud, medical neglect, and now proof that you knowingly withheld my adoption status while using it against me. Want to see how that plays in court? Silence fell. I turned to them one last time. You know what's funny? You kept this secret thinking it would make me feel less like family. But knowing the truth? It finally sets me free. I'm not your backup daughter. I'm not your ATM. I'm Sarah's daughter. And I'm done carrying your burdens. Camila opened the door, sunlight streaming in. Behind me, I heard Mom collapse into tears. Dad's futile attempts at comfort. Hazel's incoherent rage. But ahead of me, nothing but open road and possibility. Ready? Camila asked. I clutched my box of real memories, feeling lighter than ever. Ready. We walked out into the sunlight, leaving the shadows of lies behind. In my pocket, my phone buzzed with another lawsuit threat from Hazel's lawyer. Let them come. I had truth on my side now, and truth, I was learning, was the strongest weapon of all. The California sun streamed through my office window as I finished typing my last blog post. My heart, now steady and strong, kept perfect rhythm with the keyboard clicks. And that's how I learned that family isn't about blood or obligation, I wrote. It's about choice. Every day, we choose who we let into our hearts. My phone lit up with Derek's call. The lawsuits are officially dismissed, he announced. All of them. The judge called them, and, I quote, frivolous attempts at financial manipulation. How's Hazel taking it? Not well. Have you seen the tabloids? I pulled up the latest headline. Socialite's public meltdown goes viral. My sister ruined my life. The video showed Hazel throwing drinks at paparazzi outside a Manhattan restaurant. She's trending again, I said. Not the kind of fame she wanted. Speaking of trending, I added, Mom had sent an email. The subject line read, your father's birthday. Inside was a photo of our last family vacation before everything imploded. Below it, she'd written, we miss you. Can't we just go back? I clicked delete. My doorbell rang. Camila stood outside with 2 coffees and a small package. Special delivery from Derek, she announced, handing me the box. Inside, nestled in velvet, was my grandmother's ring. The one I'd sold for Hazel, the one Derek had rescued. But now it sat on a new chain, transformed into a necklace. Derek said you might want to wear it differently now, Camila explained. New meanings for new beginnings. I fastened it around my neck just as my laptop chimed. A donation confirmation. I just funded a year of cardiac screening for low-income families through my local hospital. The program was named after Sarah, my real mother. Your support group starts soon, Camila reminded me. Ready? I logged into the video call where dozens of faces appeared. All people who'd found their own strength through my story. We weren't just healing ourselves. We were building something new. Welcome, everyone, I began. Today, we're talking about setting boundaries without guilt. Halfway through the session, my phone buzzed. A text from Nicholas. Thought you should know, Hazel's trying to sell a story to the tabloids about your adoption. But don't worry, I sent them the video of her admitting to financial fraud instead. I smiled. Karma really was working overtime. Another email arrived, from Dad this time. The subject line made me pause. I'm sorry. For what it's worth, he'd written, I was wrong. We were all wrong. Not just about how he treated you, but about what family means. You're stronger than any of us ever were. For the first time, his words held no power over me. I didn't need his approval or his apology. I was no longer that girl desperate for her family's love. The support group session ended with our usual affirmation, we choose ourselves today. Camila pointed to my laptop screen. Look at your blog comments. A new message stood out. I left my toxic family today. Your story gave me courage. Thank you for showing me that walking away isn't giving up. It's growing up. I touched my grandmother's ring, now resting over my heart instead of weighing down my hand. Ready for dinner? I asked Camila. The new Thai place has outdoor seating. Always. Oh, and I invited someone from your cardiac support group. That writer who also survived family drama. She seemed cool. Outside, the sunset painted the sky in colors no paint swatch could capture. My phone buzzed one last time. Hazel posting another rant about family betrayal. I turned off notifications and smiled at Camila. You know what? I think I'm finally done carrying their stories. It's time to live my own. We walked toward the restaurant, my grandmother's ring catching the last rays of sunlight. Behind us, a stream of comments flowed on my blog post. You helped me find my voice. I'm choosing myself today. Thank you for showing us the way out. Revenge had brought me here, but it wasn't what kept me standing. That came from something stronger, the power of choosing myself, of building a life where love didn't require sacrifice. My heart beat steady and true. No longer racing to please others or breaking under the weight of unwanted obligations. This was freedom. This was peace. And it tasted sweeter than any revenge ever could.